The second segment of the interview with Dr. Eidner goes into a little more detail about certain nutritional products that are continuously recommended by many primary care physicians and widely used by individuals every day. Once again, these nutritional products are highlighted on this page and the benefits they may provide.
You know, you mentioned something earlier, actually. You mentioned labeling.
Yes.
I want to get into that for just a quick second because people, you know, you mentioned the health food stores and you mentioned everybody out there. Not every company does this, but a lot of companies do this, okay? What they do is what I want to call it false labeling. Let's take calcium, magnesium, okay? Pretty popular, right?
Sure.
You get a lot of people coming in
Everybody's
saying,
pushing
hey, Dr. Torito, I can get my calcium magnesium from Walmart down here, 360 tablets, 1,000 milligrams for 10 bucks.
Boy, I hear that all the time.
Okay, and it comes in a very tiny capsule, by the way. Okay, I'm going to get to that in a second. Well, what's happening is calcium citrate is a very expensive mineral, okay? It's not cheap. It's one of the more expensive calciums out there. It's the most absorbable calcium out there versus calcium carbonate. You see calcium carbonate on a label, run, because it's not worth a darn. Calcium carbonate's cheap.
So it's not usable in the body.
No, you could. It's like going over to outside, grabbing a rock and chewing on it. Okay. So let's go back to calcium citrate, for example. 1,000 milligrams of calcium citrate, 360 tablets, 1,000 milligrams for 10 bucks. Well, what they're doing is they're giving you 200 milligrams of elemental calcium, 800 milligrams of citrate, and yes, their label is right. It's 1,000 milligrams of calcium citrate. Where Biotics Research, they do not do that. When you look at their label, what you see on that label is what you get elemental. Whether it's calcium, magnesium, glucosamine, whatever it is, they do not count the carrier as part of the milligrams. So when you see 350 milligrams of calcium on their label, you're getting 350 milligrams of elemental calcium. Now, I mentioned that a lot of these calcium, 1,000 milligrams calcium citrates they're very small. You ever notice that?
Oh yes, they're
Do you realize how big a calcium, how big the mineral calcium actually is? How big the molecule is?
No, I really don't know.
Okay, let's put, for example, water. Water, pretty small. Calcium, very large. Okay? To get 1,000 milligrams of calcium, elements of calcium in a capsule or a tablet, it would have to be about that big.
I don't think I could
About
swallow
that big. No. And that's, people have to realize when they're looking at a label and they see all these outrageous numbers, oh, I'm getting 1,200 milligrams of calcium. No, you're not. 1,200 milligrams of calcium it'd be big as your fist. You couldn't swallow it one time, okay? I know I'm over-exaggerating, but, people have to take a little bit of education here.
And that's what we're here to do, is help educate the people
Absolutely.
why we use Biotics products. Probably two of the bigger buzzwords going on out there right now, Harry, is essential fatty acids and probiotics.
Okay.
Now just a little brief scenario why Biotics, I feel Biotics is superior than anybody else, and evidently you do too, because you've been out there distributing Biotics products for 20 years plus. But they're buzzwords right now, and justifiably so.
Now you have to be careful when you're dealing with oils, okay?
Yes.
Biotics doesn't make any of their oils. They go out and they purchase it just like everybody else does. But you have to be careful, okay? For example, flaxseed oil or fish oil. Okay, fish oil is a big buzzword,
Big
buzzword right now, okay? And there's manufacturers out there, and they have different levels and different grades of fish oil to sell you, depending on how much money you want to spend.
Yeah, because I can go buy a cheap
You
bottle.
can go buy
of
cheap.
capsules.
Oh yeah, big capsule. But it depends on how much you want to spend. Now, why would I want to spend more money on my oil? Because the more money I spend on my oil, the purer that oil is going to be. Biotics fish oil does not have any heavy metals in it. It does not have any herbicides or pesticides. It's been tested for it. Again, they do it in-house, and I personally went and had it done myself. Because I had to see it for myself. Because for years, when you're squeezing fish, And taking the oil, that's what they're doing is squeezing fish, okay? Whether it's a big fish, little fish, doesn't matter. You're squeezing the fish, and usually the liver of the fish. And when you're doing that, you're taking an animal or a fish that's swimming around in water that is polluted. We can't hardly even swim in it. I don't care if you go to the land, to the polar cap up there. They're finding pesticides, herbicides, DDT up there. So I wanted to make sure that my oil that I was going to sell you out there was clean, okay? And I went and had it assayed, and it came up clean. That's when I decided I would start selling it. Now, Biotics came up with another product called Optimal EFAs.
Oh, I love that product.
Oh, I know you do. The big buzzword right now is fish oil, right?
Yes.
Okay. Fish oil, unfortunately, it's a great oil, but it's not a whole oil. We're squeezing something. We're squeezing a fish to get the oil out of it. Okay.
Right.
It's not a complete oil like flaxseed or borage. And Dr. Torito, by the way, is the only person in the world knows where borage comes from. So ask him someday. He's not going to ask me that question because I won't answer him. So ask him someday. It's a good question to ask him, and you'll get about 10 minutes of answer on that one. But flaxseed, borage, evening primrose oil, black currant seed oil. But they have a product called Optimum EFAs that has the fish, flax, GLA in it. It's a whole complete oil where when we're using omega-3s by themselves, what are we going to do eventually? Okay, there's omega-3, 6, and 9.
So, in other words, you have to have a balance of
You have to have a balance because if you use one omega too much, well, what's going to happen is you're going to push all the omegas out, all the 6 and 9s out. And there's a lot of people out there right now that say, we have way too many omega-6s in our diet, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I want to get into this for just a half a second. Yes, we do have way too much omega-6 in our diet. We have way too much bad omega-6s in our diet. We don't have good omega-6s in our diet. What was it, 20 years ago? Maybe longer than that. Joanna Budwig over in Germany, didn't she get nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize?
Several times.
Several times for the use of flaxseed and studying with breast cancer?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we're just going to take all her research and say, no, it doesn't matter? No, that is a bad idea. So what Biotics did was they came up with a 369 called Optimal EFAs. And I tell you what, it's the easiest thing in the world to use because no matter what, you can't hurt anybody with it.
And what really is the idea of using an essential fatty acid in the body?
Well, what we're doing is we're helping breaking down bad fats. We're giving the body, people do not realize, okay, fats do not make you fat.
No.
No. No. No. No. I look at several hundred, if not thousand, blood chemistries a year, and what makes people fat is sugar. It's not fat, okay? For years, people have been told to go on a low-fat diet. And what happened to the general population? They got fat. Cardiovascular disease went up. Diabetes went up. All these inflammatory diseases went way up as soon as we went on a low-fat diet, right? So what fat does, it's involved in immune, hormonal function, you name something, thyroid, adrenal, you name something, and fat has to be a part of it. And if you don't get enough good fats, well, guess what happens? Your body's going to make its own. And when that happens, it's going to make its own LDLs. You know, quote, bad fats.
The bad fats.
The bad fats. Okay, well, if we have a gallbladder problem...
I
know. That's for another discussion. Everybody has one, by the way. He doesn't make this up. If you have gallbladder problems, or thyroid problems, or this problem or that problem, or you're just not eating enough fats, you will eventually, your body will start producing LDLs on its own. It has to have fat to function, so it's going to produce bad fats. Okay? So, over a period of time, wow, I have a pristine diet. I have this. Why are my LDLs up? Well, because you weren't eating fat. That's why.
So you're telling me that even though people think they're eating well, that if they're not interjecting an essential fatty acid in their lives each and every day, they will probably end up with some type of health challenge down the road.
There's no question about it.
Okay.
I mean, the research out there is just overwhelming. The MDs, everybody, there's nobody that can argue with you on that point anymore that you need a good fat in your diet, period.